hierarchy was part of this arrangement,
When
or
President Marcos finally confronted them with information, they refused to talk to President Marcos.
I didn't proclaim martial law alone. It is made to appear as if I just signed the decree and said, I impose martial law on each and every one of you. No. I asked the legislature to please pass a law proclaiming martial law because there was anarchy in the country. Now, let me say this, the opposition was strong, and they were members of the Security Council, and somehow they adopted a resolution which required that there be a unanimous vote for the armed forces to be able to move. And therefore the armed forces was immobilized. At the same time, I asked the opposition party to come and join me in a coalition government. I offered one half of the cabinet. And of course they laughed at me and said, why should we join you? We're going to take over the government. By the time you are through with the exercise, you're dead.
how was the evolution of the thinking within the administration to finally come to the decision that my father declare martial law in
Because
72?
it started when they invented the Jabida massacre. I say
Tito.
invented because until now I've not heard of anyone who complained about anybody being massacred in Corregidor. No one. The only one who was who appeared as a member of the trainees, supposedly the Muslim trainees in Corregidor, was that fellow who swam across the Corregidor to Cavite, which was the invention of Montano and Ninoy Aquino. That is, and because of that outburst, political outburst of Ninoy, we lost Sabah.
Sabah.
And then that Jabita massacre, what do you call this, injured the political stature of the Marcos regime, followed by the Plaza Miranda grenading in 1971. And because of that Plaza Miranda, I was a victim. I was a candidate afterwards for senator, and I lost because we were blamed for Plaza Miranda, although that was the handiwork of the Communist Party. The disorder that was brought about by them, by the left especially, was too much to bear by the country at that point. As the Secretary of Defense, I had to fight both the Muslims in Mindanao and the Christians. And then at the same time, there were also Datos who rose against the government. The group of the MNLF were sponsored by Malaysia because of the limitations imposed by the government, the regime, or the political situation in the country before martial law. The hands of the president was limited, so he finally decided after he was re-elected to impose martial law. He asked me to study his powers under the Commander-in-Chief provision. I was Secretary of Justice at the time.
The declaration and the implementation in the very first days. I was not here. I was abroad studying, and I remember that I just got the news from a phone call. My father had mentioned it previously, and he said that things are getting pretty bad, and he had spoken about the suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. And after that, he was talking about that he had hoped not to declare martial law. But I got the news that
your dad asked me to prepare this study in December of 1969 because he was anticipating that he will finally have to face the music. When we finished the studies about January of 1970, at this point the President transferred me to the Department of National Defense. And then he waited from 1970, 71. He allowed the election of 1971 to go through, where the nation was experiencing violence and disorder. because he did not want to declare it. He was hesitating to use his commander-in-chief powers until finally in 1972 he decided.
My countrymen, as of the 21st of this month, I signed Proclamation number 1081, placing the entire Philippines under martial law.
So it's not remembered very well, or it is not well documented, or it is not well disseminated about how large and how severe the problem was of the communist uprising and the well, we still see the fighting in Mindanao, but it's over a different ideology
We
now.
were able to arrest all of the leaders, including Jose Maria Sison, Juliet, the wife, and several of the leading commanders of the Communist Party, and emasculated the organization until later on, when we had, after EDSA, Cory restored the problem because he released all the
released all of
leaders of the
those
Communist
leaders.
Party, and then, including Father Balweg of the Cordilleras, and then brought back Miswari from
Saudi
exile
Arabia, yes.
to revive the MNL problem.
And was there a reason stated
That
for
is where
why
I
they did
parted
that?
ways
With
with Cory.
Oo. In the face of all of this, I think we come to the question: how did you think Cory did as president? Did you think
Well,
wala
you
kami
know, I
dito,
must
so
tell
hindi
you
namin
that,
alam masyado yung mga detalye.
You know, Bongbong, having been involved in the cabinet of President Marcos, and I'm not saying this to denigrate anybody, I was dismayed when in my first cabinet meeting with Cory, he did not make any decision. I'm sorry to say this, but I realized in that first meeting that I had in that cabinet, that the president that succeeded Jordan did not know anything about governance.